Okay, I want to talk about cancer. We talked about mitosis, and mitosis is simply cell division when one cell grows into another cell. Well, with cancer, it's cells doing the same thing, going from one cell into another cell. However, with cancer, basically that process occurs a lot faster. All right, in terms of cellular division or mitosis, it occurs a lot faster than normal. All right, than normal, healthy, non-cancerous cells. Okay, so what are some of the things that causes cancer? Well, it's a number of things, but the people who come down with cancer in terms of heredity, that's like a lower percent. I'd say probably maybe like less than maybe 5% of those who have cancer is based upon heredity. The vast majority of cancers are caused by people being exposed to chemicals, viruses and bacteria, radiation, so environmental outside influences. And basically it's the chemicals, the bacteria, the radiation, all actually exposing our body while we are here on planet Earth, time after time, day after day, and actually impacting our DNA, causing mutations in our DNA. And the mutations accumulate over time, and thus increasing the likelihood of us human beings coming down with cancer. So again, genetic aberration effects of DNA sequence in the cells that give rise to cancer. So again, basically, again, like I said, these environmental things, okay, the exposure of X-rays and radiation and chemicals, the infections of some bacteria and viruses, and so on and so forth, the chemicals that might be in water and food, all these things can play a role of it slightly doing some negative impact on our DNA. Okay, this is just a chromosome in which it's made up of DNA that actually causes mutations and increases the likelihood, increases the chances of cancer. So again, as far as normal cells versus cancer cells, so below are data about the length of time that chicken stomach cells spend in each stage of the cell cycle, both normal and cancer cells. So normal cells, usually the cells stay for a while in interphase. So this is just an example of chicken cells, or stomach cells. And then they go, as you remember, to mitosis, where the cell actually divides. So interphase, the cell is just kind of doing its thing, doing a whole bunch of other stuff and whatnot there, right? But not dividing. And then during the mitosis piece, during the mitosis part, again, mitosis, then that's when the cells actually splits from one cell to two cells. Whereas with a cancerous stomach cell, all right, look, 16 minutes. God, that seems pretty fast. I think I saw another, I don't know, gosh, source where that it was longer than 16 minutes. So 16 minutes in interphase seems fast. However, the point is interphase goes a lot faster. So obviously during the mitosis stage, these cells are going to be dividing a whole lot faster, and that's what happens with cancer cells. That's the essence of cancer cells in terms of cellular division is quite rapid because they do not stay in the interphase. Again, interphase is the stage where the cells are not dividing. They're very active doing a whole bunch of other stuff, but they're not dividing. Whereas prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase, that's when cellular division is actually occurring. Okay. Yeah, maybe there's more like it there. I guess just another source. Again, normal chicken cells, all right, stomach cells, 9 hours in interphase. This is 6.3 hours in interphase. All right, so that's a 2.7 hour difference between the two. But again, this right here, less time in interphase, and it gives it more time in cell division. So remember, the cell cycle interphase is a long period of time, and then that's when the cell goes into splitting. So in essence, the cancer cells, all right, goes through interphase definitely faster than our normal non-cancerous cells. And again, these are just examples of just cells occurring in chickens. But like I said, the same principles apply with human beings. So in essence, folks, here's what happens. Okay, so we might receive one mutation. So these are cells. Okay, we might receive one mutation, and then in the DNA. So basically, then that mutation, and then the cells, were white, and then they turn kind of pink. Not literally, but it's just kind of showing you an example. So that number 1 stands for the first mutation somewhere in the DNA. All right, and like I said, it may lead to cancer, may not, but then get a second mutation. And again, it just depends upon where that mutation occurs. And I don't want to get very deep and whatnot there. We can talk about tumor suppressor genes, oncogenes, and all that stuff there, but you don't have to worry about that. But then you get the second mutation. Okay, these cells are still growing. A second mutation. All right, third mutation, fourth mutation, fifth mutation. All right, and again, this is the road to cancer that might take months or years. Genetic instability. So the more mutations that you get, and again, where are the sources of these mutations? A lot of times from environmental factors, cigarette smoke, radiation, chemicals that we're exposed to, viruses, and also, I will say, sometimes it also occurs just naturally when cells are dividing and we're going one cell to two cells. But there's a lot of things that can also play a role into it there, where that might not be a per se environmental factor, but sometimes some things just, I don't know, I guess in the sense of a hiccup, if you will, happens in the cells itself. But a lot of times these mutations, I probably shouldn't say hiccup, but these mutations that occurs in the cells are the resulting product of some outside influence. Again, like I said, radiation, X-rays, sun rays, UV light, chemicals that we're exposed to on a daily basis. Who knows, a bunch of radio waves, just everything that's going on in our environment, we're exposed to it. So then maybe by that, this is the fifth, by the sixth or seventh, and then the cells could be on their way to becoming cancerous. All right, so again, basically you have mutational hit, okay, and then another, and it's just, you see how the colors are changing, and it's just kind of showing you like, hey, look, at first it was this color, genetic alteration, now they're orange, that's the second mutation, now blue, now I guess a purple color, to the point where that is received a number of mutations, and that's maybe fifth or sixth or seventh mutation. These mutations, again, might take months or years, and now it can be cancerous, and if it gets in the blood cells, in the bloodstream, and that could be really bad. It can spread throughout the body. So again, yet again, another cell, normal cells, all right, normal division. All right, from interphase and mitosis. So this is just simply just normal cell division. All right, there's a lot of regulation that's going on there, right? However, here, again, maybe right, from this cell to this cell, it was just the, of course, I don't want to say right number of mutational hits, but really wrong number of mutational hits in the DNA. It could have been 7, 8, I don't know. It could have been a 17, the 17th mutation. It just kind of depends upon which cell line, where the mutations occurred in DNA, a lot of factors. But now, as you see here, cancer division, now these cells are just growing pretty much like uncontrollably, going through the interphase stage real fast. And it's just showing the same thing here. Cell division, they're just growing real fast. This is kind of interesting, apoptosis. Apoptosis simply means cell suicide. So what happens under normal conditions or normal cells, we can form a cancer cell. And actually, we probably form cancer cells probably daily in all of our bodies. But then what happens is that there's some regulatory factors, and thank God, it happens where that, hey, there's a regulatory factor, and then, your body says, something's wrong with the cell. It might turn cancer if it survives. And then what happens is that apoptosis kills in, which means cell suicide. So our bodies will actually kill this cell. I'm sorry, our cell will actually commit suicide. That's what apoptosis is, so that it does not survive. Because say if it survives, and then it can proliferate into a bunch of cells here, cancer cells.